in U.S. custody. Two U.S. officials told Reuters he was arrested along with El Chapo's former partner, Mexican drug lord Ishmael Zambada, known as El Mayo. They said the pair were detained after landing in a private plane on Thursday in El Paso, Texas. It's a major coup for U.S. authorities. Both are major figures in the Sinaloa Cartel, one of Mexico's most powerful criminal organizations. The U.S. Justice Department said in a statement that both Zambada and Guzman Lopez face multiple charges, quote, for heading the cartel's criminal operations, including its deadly fentanyl manufacturing and trafficking networks. Zambada is one of the most consequential traffickers in Mexico's history and co-founded the cartel with El Chapo, who was extradited to the United States in 2017 and is serving a life sentence in a maximum security prison. After El Chapo's extradition, his criminal empire was inherited by his four sons, known as Los Chapitos, or Little Chapos, who took over his faction of the cartel and became some of the biggest exporters of fentanyl to the United States. U.S. federal prosecutors in February charged Zambada with conspiracy to manufacture and distribute fentanyl, which the Drug Enforcement Administration's deadly fentanyl manufacturing and trafficking networks. Zambada is one of the most
Here we go, y'all. Here we go. Man of the hour, Martian Man TV. Everybody welcome in. Excuse me, y'all. Everybody welcome in. Hit the like button, the subscribe button. Y'all know the routine. Play around with the notifications. Make it work, make it happen. I ain't asking for too much. Anyways, moving forward, we talking about the man of the hour, El Chapo. Know what I'm talking about? And his sons. I let y'all see the news primarily from the Mexican news people first, primarily, before I dive in and come with my perspective or our intake or outlook on the situation with El Chapo. So, shouts out to El Chapo, Pablo Escobar, and the cartels, the Choa families. Shouts out to them. I've been aware of them since I ain't gonna say since I was a kid, but since I started basically coming of age and understanding cartels and the plug and the true definition of the plug and where resources of the drugs come from and who was on top of their game as far as the eras go. So in the 80s, you had Griselda, the godmother of cocaine, and you had Pablo Escobar. You had Carlos later from George Young era from the Blow movie, but once George Young got locked up, I believe Carlos Lager went down for that little island he had that he was pushing, that was like a runway for the cocaine or whatever, the drugs. When I think of the name, y'all, I'ma say it. But yeah. So you move forward to like the late 90s, the 2000s, into El Chapo. You know what I'm talking about? Joe King Guzman. Chapo, the man. I know a couple years ago he escaped out of prison. He was so strategic in how they was moving. His people dug a tunnel at the bottom of the prison and put a motorcycle down there for El Chapo to get out and escape that way. I thought that was pretty clever. That was like something I never heard of. You gotta have money, power, and connections, and ride or die people, crash people around you for you to be able to pull stuff off like that. So, as they explained, he got sons, he got a legacy out here. So, he left the legacy with his sons, okay? And the one guy who he was a partner with or a friend with, I believe he did something shiesty, and I believe El Chapo's son, with this situation with them getting caught up in Mexico, you know, in that plane or that jet or whatever they was on, people saying that El Chapo's son was on some get back, basically. That he didn't really like the El Mayo guy, even though that's his dad business partner. So, I don't know how true that is. I don't know their personal relationship outside of the affiliation for what they was on. But allegedly, the guy was trying to get, or El Chapo's son was trying to get Mayo to go see some property that they both was trying to invest in. Allegedly, that was the situation. And according to sources, they don't have no problems, even though the SEALs or I forgot what you call that military group over there in Mexico, they go out and search and hunt the FBI's most wanted, or people that's on that list or whatever. So allegedly they just been wanting to get at the Mayo guy. And of course, they've been trying to bring down the El Chapo organization for decades. So I don't know how much of El Chapo's son was aware or knew about this arrest or about them getting arrested. It don't sound right to me for him to set up El Mayo and he get arrested too in the process. You know what I mean? That don't seem like something nobody will voluntarily do just to get rid of somebody else. But you never know in this dirty game. You never know what people willing to do or sacrifice to make certain things happen. So, y'all, I had to hit y'all with the exclusive with this one, even though it's being discussed and talked about amongst the internet. Martian Man TV had to represent and do a video about El Chapo. Like, I've never done a video about El Chapo. He's a very interesting guy, charismatic. In Spanish, they would say he's loco. He pretty crazy, pretty out there. But I got respect for El Chapo and how he move and the boss things that he does. It's not that we glamorize the cartels or the drug dealers or drugs, right? I'm saying I admire the way they move. I admire the cleverness, the strategicness of how they move and decisions that they make. And how on the outside looking in, we may look at money as a power entity, but it's really just a power tool. So I notice, more money, more problems, but with money you can make certain things happen. And sometimes, we learn from guys or dictators or kingpins or guys of the status of El Chapo. So that's the breaking news, that his sons and this guy got apprehended, got arrested. It's unfortunate. I'm pretty sure they thinking if they would have never got on that plane or that jet, that they could still be somewhere right now in peace or somewhere free. I mean, that's what I'd be thinking if I go to prison, and I know the narcos and the feds basically watching me. And that's but Cayman Island that Carlos Ledger had, that you know, he was exporting his drugs off of. And, you know, in Mexico, you got the narcos. So I don't know if they're a branch of the Navy SEALs or, but I know they military. And I know they don't play no games. So that's who allegedly apprehended El Mayo and Chapo son. So y'all stay tuned, stay conscious, stay woke. Much love. Shouts out to everybody. Martian Man TV. We'll be back.